Hi there everyone, Lars here with another video game story review brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And today I'm reviewing the story of the gorgeous game Ori and the Blind Forest by Moon Studios. This game really is just a work of art. The scenery is like a magnificent painting that just wraps all around you. And Ori, the cute spirit version of Stitch, is adorable and so fun to move around as you play. And the gameplay itself is simple but complex as the game continuously challenges you to adapt and up your skills in order to survive. You can do everything pretty simply, but how you string things together to achieve much more fantastic feats and to overcome harder puzzles is just really awesome, and it ties in well to the story as you help Ori navigate a deadly world blighted by rot and darkness. Ori and the Blind Forest is, though, a simple and straightforward tale. You play as the spirit Ori, who was taken in by Naru, a fuzzy, chubby creature and presumably the last of her kind. She raises Ori and teaches them how to build and harvest, and together they build and live a peaceful, wonderful life. However, that all comes apart as the spirit tree that watches over them and the forest of Nibble is unexpectedly weakened. A strange decay sweeps the land, and Naru falls ill. Ori has to go in order to find a cure for her. As Ori embarks into the dark, decaying woods, they encounter a strange little wisp named Sign, who has broken away from the spirit tree. The great owl Kuro attacked the tree and wounded it, separating Sign from the spirit tree and initiating the decay that has swept over Nibble. Ori and Sign join forces to gather the light and the might of the forest to save the spirit tree. Doing so, they hope to heal the forest and reverse the decay. And so begins the great journey across the forest of Nibble as Ori reunites with the spirit tree and its saplings, wherein are Ori's siblings. Ever since the decay, they have retreated into their trees and are no more. Ori merges with their light and gains their special abilities as Sign tells their stories and deeds. This journey in which Ori undertakes teaches them about their family and their heritage, but also Ori meets Gumo, who is at first a mischievous sabotaging character that traps Ori deep underground, but Gumo's own tricks get the better of him and Ori has to rescue Gumo. Gumo repays this kindness by using magical technology that his people invented in order to revive Naru. And thus we are introduced to the main theme of Ori and the Blind Forest. Kindness begets more kindness. Gumo becomes an important ally moving forward in the story, not only helping Naru, but also saving Ori after confronting Kuro atop the Ginzo tree, and the magical source of the flowing, cleansing waters that we find within Nibble. Ori's quest starts the healing of the forest, even before the spirit tree and all of the elements can be brought together, once again showing the power of kindness. Kuro, if we look at her, is the ever-vigilant villain within this story, shadowing Ori the moment she realizes that there is still but one spirit left running around in the forest. But this ever-present threat is later revealed to be nothing more than a grieving mother. As a creature of the darkness, her kind are susceptible to the cleansing power of the spirit tree, and so Kuro had a nest of 3 young owlets high up in the mountains. But on a night that the spirit tree called all his children together, his light killed the nest. In a fit of rage, Kuro attacked the tree, and thus began the decay. Since then, she has been patrolling the forest, keeping it free of any pesky spirits, so that her last egg may hatch safely and grow up. It leaves you with a strange sense of dread as Ori makes their way through the rest of Nibble, knowing that your actions will save the forest, but could potentially murder an unborn owlet. It makes the entire quest somewhat bittersweet because you can see through Ori's adventures what has all been lost and what could still be restored to the forest. But while you can kill a bunch of deformed monsters and other strange things that have come with the decay, can you really destroy an innocent egg? This is where the theme of the story becomes oh so important. Because when Ori finally delves into the bowels of Mount Horu and restores the light, Kuro attacks once again. Ori has to tear through a burning forest and all different kinds of obstacles and destruction in order to escape, and the might of the volcano is unleashed, and Kuro wreaks major destruction trying to kill Ori. And thus the entire forest of Nibble is set ablaze. And though Ori just manages to escape by the skin of their spirit teeth, Kuro still catches up and captures Sign. Amidst this great holocaust of a burning forest and the defeat of a failed quest, Naru appears. She comes to Ori's aid. Her kindness touches Kuro's heart. And the great owl pauses and takes in her surroundings, realizing only all too late what she has done. And now her last egg is in danger of becoming fried. Kuro takes Sign and flies to the spirit tree, reuniting the two and restoring the forest, but killing herself in the process. Kuro's great sacrifice saves everyone, but this came about because of a simple but beautiful series of events. Naru took in Ori and taught Ori kindness. Ori saved Gumo from his own trap. Gumo in turn saves Ori from Kuro and restores Naru to health. Naru then returns and saves Ori from Kuro and inspires the owl. And Kuro then does the one thing that she can to save her child, and she sacrifices herself for everyone. And so, the game comes to its end, with Ori, Naru, and Gumo taking in Kuro's last egg and taking care of it until it hatches. An act of kindness begets more acts of kindness. That is the deeper message of this gorgeous adventure, and it makes the ending seriously emotional. I honestly did not expect to be crying when I got to the end credits, but there I was trying to keep it together as I saw Kuro's egg hatch next to this mural of Naru, Ori, Gumo, and Kuro all together as if they had always been one big happy family. Ori and the Blind Forest is honestly not a very complicated story, but that is part of what makes it so strong. It has one powerful theme that is interwoven throughout its entire runtime, and it is a game that makes itself hard to beat. Every power, every level, the forces that you learn, that you have to learn quickly actually, otherwise you're going to die, cause Ori to go through this hero's journey, which is not kind at all. Every victory that you get is hard earned, and it gives you this sense of excitement and fulfillment. And eventually, as everything starts coming together for the spirit tree, all of these different things come together and you realize just what kind of a quest you have been on this entire time, and you see the great culmination of it right at the very end. All of this just was so incredible. I was honestly swept away by how amazing this simple but oh so well done story was. Really, this is the power of simple storytelling. I tell a lot of people that children's stories are often some of the deepest and most enjoyable I have ever read. They get creative with how they use darker, deeper themes because they cannot alienate their young audience. They know who they speak to, but they can still deliver in a small, simple, beautiful way a very complicated, very large, sometimes very intense or dark theme. And when we look at Ori and the Blind Forest, it doesn't necessarily play its theme or its story too creatively, but it does embrace this alien world to tell a very simple story. It gets across how human and timeless this message is, even if there's not a single human to be seen. So often we as writers and creators have these wonderful complex stories and worlds in mind. And sure, there are amazing worlds to write. They are so much fun to do, and if we nail that complex vision just right, they are incredible. They are incredible for us to write, and they are incredible for others to experience. But we should never forget that there is a lot of power and beauty in simplicity. It comes down to knowing the characters, their motivations, and following through on one idea to the very end. Ori and the Blind Forest embodies this approach wonderfully. If you haven't already played and experienced Ori and the Blind Forest for yourself, I highly recommend it. Get lost in the Forest of Nibble and get swept up in the gorgeous fantasy that does not disappoint. I think more people should be obsessed with finding a way to the Forest of Nibble than trying to figure out how to fly out to Pandora. Honestly, it's just, I want to go there. I want to go back. The next game on my list to review is the sequel, Ori and the Will of the Wisps. And oh boy, that one is going to be a doozy. So until we get to that review, please check out our other videos here on the channel. And for more solid writing advice, head on over to our podcast, found on Podbean, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, the works. We would also love to have you drop on by at our subreddit or our Discord to be part of our growing community of authors. Thank you everyone for joining us on this adventure, and until the next video, y'all, tschüss.